Wisconsin can be so cold. The scales of justice can erode. If we accept lies big and bold, we forget we live on Avery Road.
Hello everybody, this is Advocacy on Making a Murderer on YouTube. I cover the Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey cases, but also as time passes I've been covering other cases such as the Staircase or OJ and many wrongful convictions of youth. I go over the documents, the photos, the videos, anything case related. So stay tuned because I have many more videos just like the one you're about to see. Hello everybody, how you doing? I'm back from Salt Lake City. Got to meet with a great supporter over there in Salt Lake City, Jason Dixon. He's going to be looking into the case more himself and wanted to learn more about how to advocate, and wanted to be part of, everything. And so he reached out to me, so we met up while I was there, and him and I had a little discussion on camera that you guys are going to get to see now. So here we go. Hello everybody.
What's up?
It's Advocacy. We're here in Utah. I'm here with Jason. He reached out to me here when I was in Utah for my job training and stuff. He reached out to me so we could meet up. We talk a little bit about the case here. Obviously, I'm willing to show off all the supporters that I meet because you're all awesome and I love you all. And so me and Jason are going to talk a little bit today about how important it is to really take an interest in these things and why they matter, and how people taking an interest and showing their support is really the best thing. It's one of the things that is going to put more pressure on the state of Wisconsin, Manitowoc, that area, and hopefully, eventually, when some leadership changes there and some things get shaken up as they have recently, but when things continue to kind of change there, you may get people into places of government and power that will be open-minded about this. So that's why being the support is very important, and I'm obviously going to celebrate it anytime I can, and this is one of those opportunities. Hi, Jason.
What's up, man? How you doing?
How you doing?
Nice to finally meet you. So basically, just reached out to sit down, talk with you a little bit about the case and how I can actually get into this stuff, because as we've been talking about, I'm new to it. So it's been we'll say about 5-6 months since I actually watched the first series.
It's kind of a newbie, folks.
Yeah. So,
but don't let being a newbie put you off. Dig into those documents, man. Hey, get informed. So spread the message. So
that's the whole thing. Is I sat down, I watched it, I got enraged like a lot of people do. And then I started going to YouTube to start asking, well, is he out now?
Right. That's always the first question everybody wants to ask.
Is Stephen Avery out of jail? No. So, and then I started finding Advocacy's channel, or your channel, and I started watching your videos, started watching the case files and all the extra stuff, and found out that Making a Murderer Season 2 was coming out, so I got excited about that because I was going to be able to catch up. Right. And now I'm kind of at the point where I'm trying to get involved in it and actually learn about the case, and then maybe later on start actually committing some time to helping out and doing whatever part I can.
Advocating, right?
Yeah. And getting people in the area or in my area or wherever it is I am in the world, to actually take an interest and see if they can help. It's like you said, pressure bust pipes.
Yeah,
so,
certainly.
I mean, the more people come into the community and actually sit down and say something along the lines of, "Hey, why is this happening?"
Right.
It's going to make people in the county or in the judiciary system in Wisconsin say, "Okay, well, we need to reopen this and look at it and give this guy an honest chance."
Do we want to? I mean, hopefully, Wisconsin at some point, or somebody in power, somebody in a position of power in Wisconsin is eventually going to go, you know what? I'm tired of my state having the black eye. I'm tired of that. You know what? We're just going to meet this head on. Hopefully, we're going to get somebody like that in Wisconsin eventually. Maybe the appeals court. We can hope a little bit that the appeals court might see the merits of this. You know, obviously Tom Fassbender holding that CD for 12 years is beyond unethical. Beyond. I mean, it's just absolutely just atrocious that is even happening. But then you add to the fact that the state was holding on to that evidence, the computer evidence. They held on to it for 8 months. Okay, you know what? This is the way I feel about it. I would actually agree with the guilters that the computer evidence doesn't matter, or that it was handed over in time if it had actually been handed over in time. But it wasn't. It wasn't. The defense wasn't given enough time to really go through that.
3 weeks?
Yeah, 3 weeks before Denny's due. I mean, you had it for 8 months, Wisconsin. You had that stuff for 8 months, and you waited until 3 weeks before Denny? You know? I mean, come on. You think we're idiots? You think everybody out there is a moron? You know, I mean, I'll tell you who I think the morons are. But, yeah, so there's that. So hopefully the appeals court will see the merit in that, certainly. But getting back to what people can do to support, obviously, you know, Jason's kind of got the right idea. He's getting into the StephenAveryCase.org and digging into the documents, the investigation reports, and the transcripts. And obviously, he's only 6 months in. He's probably got a long way to go. But you got to start somewhere, folks. And getting informed is a powerful thing. Knowledge is power. And the more that we spread that knowledge, the more power it is. The more power we accumulate. And when I say that, I mean I don't want power for its own sake. I just want this to get noticed. I want people to be talking about it. I want a consensus to come together, and I want people to really look at this. Is what happened to Brendan okay? Is the fact that there was no evidence of a crime in Stephen's trailer or garage? Is that, I mean, should we pursue convictions in that sense when we have that kind of situation? Because it's like the difference between, it's like I've said, you guys, any of you who've watched my OJ video, or I've had 2 of them, I look at the differences between the 2 cases. I happen to believe OJ's guilty. I know some people out there still think he's innocent, but I happen to believe he's guilty. And the reason why is because I can see a crime scene. I can see where an actual crime took place, you know, and I can see the evidence of him leaving it. I can see the evidence of it in his Bronco. I can see the evidence of it back at his Rockingham house. I can see the evidence taking a very straight, you know, a very particular path, and it all lines up. But that's not the way it is in the Avery case. The Avery case is different.
Yeah, one day you've got some evidence, and then the next day you've got some other evidence that doesn't point to Stephen Avery at all. It points to somebody else, but you don't find that out until a couple of years later.
Exactly. It's like, who was this guy? Who was this person harassing Teresa? I mean, I cannot tell you guys how just immensely interested I am in finding out who that was. But the investigators in this case didn't think that was important. They just didn't think that was of interest. I'll tell you what, something else, folks. I'm gonna plug John Frack's book again. Anybody who hasn't purchased it or isn't planning on reading it, you need to change those plans. You need to get that book.
Yeah. So basically, all I want to do is I want to get into the fact that if I'm new, where would you recommend that I actually start, other than in the StephenAveryCase.org? Okay,
that's something I've actually been saying a lot lately. So I would always recommend everybody to start with Sean Atwood's book, Unmaking a Murderer. The reason why I say that is because it's basic. It's really basic. It goes through all of the little tactics that were used in 1985, and then it also draws parallels between those tactics in 1985 and the tactics being used in 2005. So it creates a very elementary kind of basic framework for people to understand kind of what's going on with these cases. And so I think Sean Atwood's book is a good place to start, just because it gives it's written in a way that's not hard to understand, not a whole lot of big words, not a whole lot of, you know, it's just real kind of basic, but it's powerful. It's pointing out a lot. Sean Atwood also draws from his experience of being in the American legal system himself. Those of you know who Sean Atwood is. He spent some time in Arizona prison because of some stupid stuff he did when he was younger. You know, but he learned his lesson now, and like I said, he's done the TED Talk about what facing 200 years taught him about happiness. You know, that's, you know, he's turned his life around, and his insights about the criminal justice system and things like testifying. When you get officers on the stand who are lying about things, they call that testifying. They also refer to experts who lie on the stand as testifying. Instead of testifying, they call it testifying. This is a term that's been coined, and Sean Atwood is able to go through a lot of these things about the tactics that the prosecution will use, and a lot of the dirty tricks, and so I think it's a real good place to start.
Okay. So at that, I'm just going to say that if you're scared to get into it, don't be. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Just like if you want to get into this case, you take it one page at a time, one document at a time, one picture at a time. Develop your own opinion about what happened, and get into the community, talk to people, ask questions. They'll help you correlate different things. I mean, obviously, I reached out to Advocacy and he answered my email. It's a community that's accepting and will help you out in any different way.
And I absolutely want to encourage all of you in any way as best I can. I want to encourage all of you to take an interest in and become advocates. But on that note, remember, be classy. Be classy. Don't act like some of these people you see, some of these guilters you see out on social media sometimes, and don't say dirty and mean and rotten things. Don't do that. Don't drag down the image of supporters. I know it's hard. I know sometimes you see people saying things and it gets you mad. I get it. I totally get it, folks. I do. But you got to control that. We don't want supporters to get the image. We don't want the stigma of being unenlightened, flying off the handle with little reason type of people. We want to be seen as people who are thinkers. We want to be seen as people who are compassionate. We want to be seen as people who are, you know, just willing to have an open mind, at the very least, to have an open mind about things. That it's like I've said before, if I don't expect to get somebody to become a supporter or to believe that they're both innocent, but if I can get somebody thinking, if I can just get somebody thinking, then I'm chalking that up as a W. And that's basically the way I feel about it.
And then, I mean, to go into it, it's kind of like before we started the video, we were talking about that. It's professionalism and it's knowledge of the product. So if you know what's going on in the case, or you learn something and you talk about that, and you don't speculate or go outside your knowledge box, and you're professional when you're having a conversation with somebody, it's going to go a lot longer, a lot farther than it will if you just start talking to somebody out of emotion.
Exactly. Think about it, folks. Somebody walks up to you and starts screaming and yelling at you and telling you you're a piece of crap and you should be doing this thing instead of that thing. Okay? How are you going to react? Most of the time, how are you going to react? You're going to think that person's a freaking idiot and you don't care what they have to say, and you're not going to listen to them, and you're going to go do whatever the heck you were doing anyway. But if you want a chance at winning over hearts and minds, as I sometimes refer to it, you gotta use kid gloves. You gotta be compassionate. You gotta have humanity. You gotta understand that sometimes people just have different opinions. Sometimes people are basing their opinions on a limited amount of the facts. Sometimes they just haven't researched enough to know. There's lots of reasons why, but I'll tell you what helps you get through those barriers better than being mean and angry and bitter and vulgar is reaching out with a hand of kindness and understanding. It goes a lot further.
So I think at that point, man, we said our piece.
Yep. So it's been great here talking with Jason today. I hope you guys all liked it. And
y'all see me in the chat.
And
I'll be in there.
So look for him in chats and hang out. Hey everybody, by the way, that's one other thing. Another part of this whole supporter deal of how I want to go ahead and encourage everybody. If you don't know, on my channel we've been doing this thing called Hangouts, Google Hangouts. So sometimes after the videos we all go onto a Google Hangout and we're all able to talk to each other and stuff like that and talk about the case. So if anybody out there is interested in that, just look in the chats next to my videos. When I upload now, every video has a live chat next to it, and you will see my mods post the link to the Hangout, and you guys can just click on that and go over, and you can talk with us in real time. You can ask questions with lots of people who are looking into the documents and you know, going over this stuff. And the bigger the community gets, the stronger we get, the more knowledgeable we get. It all continues to accumulate and you know, like compound interest. So
it's kind of like an after party.
Yeah. So that's it for today. It's been a pleasure hanging out here with Jason. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you. Peace. Hello. That wraps up my little conversation with Jason Dixon while I was in Salt Lake City. I look forward to hopefully trying this in other places as I travel around a bit. So maybe we can look forward to some of that. So if I'll try to announce if I'm coming to your area or something, maybe a week in advance, hopefully. And if possible, you guys can send me an email and we can meet up somewhere in a public place or something and just, you know, sit down, and I'll run the camera, and we can all just kind of sit and chat about the case for a little while. And that sort of stuff, if you guys are interested. So just like Jason and I did here today. So anyways, if you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and we'll see ya.